Welcome to Gatecrashers, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, our code is this: to make all things more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. I'm Matt, and my pronouns are he, him.
I'm Jake. My pronouns are also he, him.
I am Ashley, and my pronouns are she, her. So, today we are discussing Violet Evergarden, an anime. Kind of to give you a little back of the box blurb on Violet Evergarden. It's a pretty sentimental, beautiful anime story. Bring on the tears. Following the life of a young girl who is really just trying to get back into normal life after experiencing, how should I put this? The horrors of war. As a child, Violet is nameless, abandoned, and after a pretty violent altercation, she's the last person standing. And she draws the attention of a naval officer who sees her pretty much as a tool to
kill him.
To kill, if you will. So Violet eventually gets passed off to Major Gilbert Bougainvillea. Gilbert essentially becomes Violet's guardian, giving her the name Violet, and although he does conscript her into the military, he does become her kind of sole source of light in the violent world that she's experiencing. The anime of Violet Evergarden really follows Violet in the aftermath of a pretty gruesome injury that she experiences, and it really just follows her along as she puts her life back together with a really wholesome new career writing letters for other people.
What a touching series. So Violet Evergarden was originally conceived as a Japanese light novel series by Kana Akatsuki. Akatsuki.
We're so good at this.
Yeah. And illustrated by Akiko Takase. It began from 2015 all the way to 2020. It was picked up by Kyoto Animation for development of a 13 episode series that began airing in January 2018. And in addition to the 13 episodes, a bonus episode was created the same year, and two films, one within the next 2 years, and two within the next 2 years, including September's 2020's Violet Evergarden, the movie, which during the development of the film, this Kyoto Animation was destroyed in an arson attack, which resulted in the deaths of 33 people and the destruction of most of their stored work. Luckily for the fans of Violet Evergarden and the creators who worked on it, they were able to recover and release it.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have that movie and even be able to see the conclusion of the story.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what themes do we find in Violet Evergarden?
Yeah, so a lot of the themes that we see is war, first love, physical disabilities, coming of age, grief, friendship, and sacrifice. It really ties in a lot of different emotional packages into one.
Keyword emotional. And Jake, who would like Violet Evergarden?
You know, if you have a heart that beats, you most likely will like it. Especially if you have that heart on your sleeve. But if you're a fan of softer stories that occasionally dive into action, this is a good one to start with.
That's essentially why Matt told me to watch this, because he told me it's sad and would make me cry.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, just like Your Lie in April.
Yes. So I started watching those, and Matt was like, "Oh, have you watched Violet Evergarden yet?" And I was like, "No."
Oh, so it's my fault.
Yeah, all of this is actually my deep dive into sad anime is both of your fault. So
I'm proud of that.
I started buying the manga of Your Lie in April.
Is it good?
I haven't started reading it yet, but that's how I want to experience it for the third or fourth time. Fourth time.
Well, we could also plug. Jake and I were on the Your Lie in April episode. So if you go back wherever you listen to podcasts, like where you're listening to it right now, you'll be able to find the Your Lie in April episode.
You and John yelled at me so much.
That was a chaotic episode.
Every episode with me and John is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. John's on that episode with us. Well, Matt, we're thankful to have you on as our guest today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're still talking about Violet Evergarden. If you're interested in it and you haven't watched it yet, and you'd like to find it and you're in the US. And
don't want spoilers.
Yes. Don't want spoilers. So that the third part of this episode here will dive more into spoilers. But this first half is very spoiler free. If you've heard what we've had to say so far and you're very interested in giving this a go, and you're living in the US, then all you need to do is fire up the old Netflix. They have all 13 episodes, the bonus episode, and both films all either dubbed or subbed, dealer's choice, whatever you'd like. And all of it can be found on Netflix. So yeah, that's where you should go now. If you don't want spoilers.
But if you want spoilers or you've already watched the episodes and you want to hear what we have to say, keep listening. If you don't, pause this, come back later after you watch a couple hours of this wonderful, wonderful series. Or you're going to be very confused by what we start saying.
Yeah.
Because we're starting out hot.
Yeah, we've got lots to discuss.
All right. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. All right, so we're going to put Major Gilbert Bougainvillea on trial right now.
Yeah,
Put
we
him
do.
on
I think that's the
blast.
first thing we have to discuss.
For sure.
Yeah.
We can't get into anything else without the elephant in the room.
We have to get this out of the way because trigger warning, he more or less grooms Violet, but
I think it's like a grooming of circumstance.
It's a grooming of circumstance.
Yeah.
I this is gonna sound terrible. Like I sound terrible saying these things, but because
all right,
of
get
the
your defense out of the way.
No, this isn't a defense. I'm just saying, like the story structure. She is pretty much conscripted into the army because of these superhuman skills that she has, these killer abilities. No pun intended. And essentially, Gilbert's the only person that does look out for her. I mean, do you not agree? Like, as much as he has to, because of his role in the army.
I mean, I would definitely agree. I mean, it's a situation where I feel like they more or less imprinted on each other.
Yeah.
Oh, Twilight words.
I know. But, like, they were... They relied on each other.
I watched a few of them with you guys, and
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't think I watched the first one. I didn't watch the last one.
Okay, the last one's where the imprinting happens.
Yeah,
I've seen the clips of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Stockholm syndrome both ways. Like they're both forced proximity to each other a lot, and then she also had nobody kind of around her to be a loving presence.
As mentioned, she was an orphan.
Yeah, she was. And outside of just being an orphan, she seems very naive or...
She seems like she was raised by wolves.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Like her character, she very much does not understand emotion.
She's very disconnected.
Very... I was going to say detached. So yeah.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think
from everything.
I probably should talk about the one thing that I mentioned. So there's hints at one of the other characters who has amnesia from during the war. His name is Benedict. He's one of the supporting cast.
Oh, I forgot he had amnesia.
Yeah, I actually did forget about that as well. Then.
Yeah. Wait.
I couldn't
okay.
remember where it came.
Is this from the novel? Like,
I think so.
I
Okay,
don't
so
thi-
maybe they didn't.
I don't
Maybe
think
they
it
don't
discussed in the
hint,
anime.
Yeah, at it. So
Yeah, 'cause-
spoiler alert. Like if you did read
Well,
the
we're
novel,
already in the
but
we're already
yeah.
in
it's
the
a spoiler
spoiler
chat.
territory.
So
I found this out through reading the wiki because I was like, I don't remember this happening.
yeah,
I don't recall that either.
Apparently, Benedict opened up to her about the fact
his
that
amnesia.
he had amnesia, but the only thing he remembers is that he had a sister, and they look pretty similar.
I mean, they do. Yeah. What color are
And
Benedict's
it's
eyes?
Blue.
Are they turquoise? Are they beautiful turquoise?
Yeah.
Okay.
His name is
Violet's
Benedict.
His eyes and hair are actually
yeah, you're
brighter
right.
than hers.
Yeah.
Oh
wow. Things to think about now.
But they're also both frilly and strutting with their outfits.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so supposedly it's hinted at them being siblings, but they don't know because
One has amnesia and the other.
also probably has amnesia.
Yeah, something's definitely
10-year-old
up with
amnesia.
Violet. Yeah. Yeah, so that's when we talk about the grooming. Violet is extremely young when she is conscripted into the army. She's essentially around 10.
Yeah, 10 is kind of what they were.
She was
They
only
don't know.
14 when the war ended. And
Yeah.
when she
Yeah.
became a doll.
Yeah, so essentially she's 14. Or the first time she really at least starts to show emotion is this, and she doesn't even know what to call it. She said she just feels something inside, and that's towards
Yeah, she doesn't
Gilbert.
understand the core language in terms of framing her emotions.
Yeah. And to Gilbert's
Credit?
credit, he does seem extremely conflicted about the fact that he's in this position in her life.
Yeah, he clearly does seem like she's forced on him in a way.
Yeah.
But he views that as he feels like he's the best option for her.
Yeah, with the people that are around them, yeah.
Yeah, given that
he
his
does
brother
feel
is a
that.
dirtbag.
Yeah.
Until the later in the series.
Yeah.
Pretty much after the time skip.
Yeah.
Or, at the end of the series when she starts, displaying true emotions.
Yeah. Because this is a spoiler, are we allowed to spoil the end of the movie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, they do end up together at the end.
Yeah, when she's 18 years old and he's 30
Yeah,
something.
and it's socially acceptable. And again, to his
Those
credit,
were the days.
yeah, he
This
did
is
leave.
set- it is
he
set
did
in,
leave her life
late
to let
Victorian.
her grow up. Yeah. It's Victorian inspired, right?
they-
Or
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
it,
It does feel like that is the time period,
It feels
though it's taking
steampunk.
place in.
feels
Yes, it is
steampunk?
Adjacent, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
adjacent to steampunk, but it's
But
like
bright steampunk.
Yeah.
Think of colorful.
Warm and
yeah.
yeah.
It was
It
like a
doesn't feel
different.
cold and
there's
industrial.
actual culture,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
bullshit. Everything is steam powered culture.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of culture in this. We see a lot
Yeah.
of small towns that have culture, but the main premise is this is a more not primitive, but less educated time, as a lot of people don't know how to read or write.
Yeah.
But
And-
right in the middle of new technology rising,
Yes.
there's a change in that
'cause-
technology.
So from the films, there is a time skip.
Yes.
And that's when we start seeing the development of phones.
Yep. And essentially the role of the doll is being diminished a little bit because of phones.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the series.
Yeah, so it's like the concept of ghostwriters just going away, which we all know didn't.
Yeah.
Name one YouTuber that actually wrote their little biographies.
There's good money to be had in ghostwriting.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Actually, let's get in ghostwriting. We just
I don't
funnel
have
it all into
time. I'm doing the gay crasher stuff.
No, we used Gate Crashes as a cover.
Okay, so
Dan can connect us to people.
yeah. All right, so Violet Evergarden, some other things that we've touched on the weird groomy aspects of it that are questionable.
Yeah, I got that out of the way.
Yeah. What other things do we want to talk about?
Oh, how fucking beautiful the animation is.
It is gorgeous.
It's so beautiful. It's just
the running on the leaves in the pond.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to bring up because that one is just impeccable in terms of like the cinematography, the animation of it, like the angle of the shot, her jumping into this lake and landing on this leaf, like it's so magical, and it's such a bright way that they depicted this scene. It's one of my favorites, hands down.
Yeah, I think the best animated one is actually the first film, Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll with the two sisters.
Yeah.
Like, visually, you can see how many frames are going into it when she tries to, like, slap her in the beginning or...
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the emotion of it. There's depth to everything.
Honestly, like, even when I rewatched the pilot today, I was reminded at what a beautiful job they did setting up the world in just that first episode, because you get some like slight flashbacks of her, but then they kind of do this like sweeping camera view of the whole town and the places that she goes to and that she'll be at in the series. And I have come to expect animes, like I'm still kind of a bit of a newbie, so when I watch things, I like pick up like stuff that maybe you're used to. They still stick out to me a little bit. Like when I watch an anime, I'm like, oh, the camera's just focusing on the back of this man's head for an entire scene. But I actually like, sometimes I think the things that they're chosen to focus on are strange. And then in Violet Evergarden, it always made like an emotional impact for me. The stuff that they focus on, super nuanced.
Very planned out.
Yeah.
For sure. Like there's this one scene, I think in the second episode, where it's the woman who's trying to like get a letter written to tell this guy that she's like, oh, I'm interested, but I'm not actually interested. You have to work.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like, you're getting shots of her.
She wants to play coy.
Yes, but you're also seeing like her hands are on the seat, and just a shot of her hands, but you notice her fingertips are like a little worn away, like she's like not
chewing
actually
her
as
nails.
Maybe she's showing anxiety.
Yes,
yeah.
Like she's not actually she's portraying herself more than what she's actually feeling, which I think is such a great little touch. It's like I didn't even notice that until my last watch of it yesterday, that I'm like, I've never noticed that on her fingers, show that she's like either nervous, she's either been picking at her fingers, or maybe she like she's worked. Maybe she's not as well off as she pretends she is.
Yeah.
To show people that, you know, she wants to be better in the world. Like it's all these little nuanced things that you notice that they choose to show the watcher.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about my favorite thing in the world: design. Okay, so the character designs are very well nuanced, especially in the time skip, because I mean, for Violet, we see her being very, very frilly. And she has the white, like, it's not like an ascot, it's like a frilly collar.
It is kind of an ascot.
Yeah,
it's like
I would say
feminine.
somewhere between there and that.
It's...
And her outfit in the beginning is more of a bright color. Like, it just feels a lot brighter.
Yeah.
Like, with that than it does. Like, it's mainly just navy, brown, and white with red ribbons in her hair. And then she has the brown leather straps, and that one of the things I noticed is when they did the time skip, so everyone's design changed, but they kept their specific style.
Yeah,
but you can see that it's evolved to match with the trends of the 4-year skip.
Yeah,
like Violet now wears like. It's like it's a string tie, like a little ribbon tie.
That's like a bolero.
No. Sure.
Cut that out.
No, Dan, keep it in. Yeah, so she has that. Benedict, who let's talk about his boots. He keeps his stilettos.
He does. And they're my favorite part too.
Were they always metal in the beginning? I can't remember.
I feel like they were, because the very first scene I remember Benedict in, like, he's on his bike and he
gets off and you see the boot.
Yeah.
So Benedict wore in the beginning wears his hair with a little strand really long, which goes away because he's more mature. He doesn't need a little devil lock hanging out there. It shows that he's coming around and being a little warmer to people, and less cold from the jump. And one of the main things he has, the boots do change in the time skip. They become frilly in the back.
Oh yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
So in the beginning he has a normal shirt, and then he gets the laced the ribbon tied one in the back, and it's like a long shirt, and where his pants become normal because they had that little ribbon lace thing. And then there's everybody else who kind of just looks like an updated version of themselves, but a little older. Like Iris has a new haircut, but she still wears pretty much the same clothes, but they're a little more, not mature, but more fashionable. Like she's more in the city than she was in the...
She had that, like you were mentioning before, like they had, like, little small towns have their own culture. I feel like when you see what her town looks like, and I think in the 4th episode, they all have that kind of same look.
An echo of the place that they've come from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Iris keeps that, and then, like you said, it becomes more stylish, more city-like, a little bit removed from the look of her, the culture from her little town, but still has a lot of references to it.
Yeah, and then
what do we think about Claudia's outfit?
Claudia's?
Yeah.
He becomes more... Oh, yeah, Claudia is the boss. He is Claudia Hodgins, lieutenant colonel.
And he was essentially asked by Gilbert to
take in Violet.
Yeah.
Because he was planning on starting a company. I don't remember if he says that he's starting a post office, but that's what he does.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, if you can take her, please take her with you. If you can, if something happens. And his outfit is a little... So he's older than Gilbert, so he's probably he's about in his 30s from the beginning, and or late 20s. He's got the long little short ponytail.
Yeah.
Which he cuts off, but he's still gaunt
Scruffy.
and scruffy.
Yeah.
Gaunt and scruffy but he's still a pretty big dude.
He always looks a little unkempt to me. Like,
just yes.
Like his shirt is hanging out instead of being tucked in when it needs
to. He's pretending to be a professional, but he's not.
Vest. Then he gets the sweater vest, and that all changes. He becomes more of the boss.
Yeah.
In appearance. He feels a little more confident. Then there's also the 2 other girls who... Catalea, she keeps most of her... her dress is really just red, and I think she tones it down a little bit in the time skip, especially in the movie, because in the movie she gets these long brown gloves.
Yeah, yes.
Whereas she had I don't want to say sultry, but a lace thing underneath her sleeves before. And she just kind of tones it down and covers up a little more. Because she was before Violet came and started making waves, she was the number 1 doll in the organization. And then there's the other girl who's what's her name?
Erica and Iris.
Erica. So
Yeah.
Erica goes from, a studious looking girl who likes novels and things like that and wants to write and stuff. And then she begins to work under a playwright, and then she just turns into, if you were a drama kid, you will know this look, stage manager.
Yeah.
She wears the puffy, thick turtleneck with the overalls.
Yep.
Yeah, stage manager.
Keeping
She looks
everybody
like
in charge.
and then
Absolutely.
her hair, she stops doing her hair, and it's just in a bun. Yeah, she's a stage manager.
You can definitely chart the trajectory of all these characters through their clothes
Yes.
Yeah.
and the changes that they go through.
But the nice thing is they all keep their color palettes. Like they all
Yeah.
still
Yeah, so
keep their core colors.
They keep their personal style. Like, there's no one like unrecognizable in the way they dress.
Violet especially, I feel like when the first episode, you see her at obviously her lowest points, and she's really devoid of any type of personality. And through her clothes, she really grows.
Yeah, she gets it becomes very.
They become intricate with the more.
She's very intricate, but like I said, it feels a lot brighter in the main series. And that, I feel like that reflects her more positive trajectory.
Yeah.
Because when the time skip happens, her clothes become more drab, but she also becomes more reserved.
Alive?
No. She becomes more somber.
I feel like she becomes somber,
but she has
mature.
Yes.
She's more mature, but she's definitely like...
She has a personality. She has
that internal sadness is showing more. Like, she's always had it, but she didn't know how to show it.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you in the sense that, like, there's a certain point where she's incredibly grief-stricken over the loss of Gilbert. And then I agree with you, the somberness kind of comes in where she starts to just, like, accept the fact that he's gone until she has reasons to believe otherwise.
It's not a sadness. It's just she knows how to show these emotions now. But she doesn't. She still doesn't know how to regulate them all that well.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that's something she definitely like struggles with throughout the series.
But like I mentioned, in the time skip, it does feel like her clothes are a little duller.
Mm-hmm. How do we feel about the fact that she was led to believe he was dead?
It's because everyone thought he was dead.
That.
Well, we all thought everyone in this universe thought he was dead.
Yeah, but she wasn't also told that he was missing in action. Like, she wasn't told anything for, I think, 5 or 6 episodes?
Yeah, and it was very vague. It was very vague about what was going on with him, and she would ask these things, and they were just kind of like...
it was...
He's fine.
I guess, like, his aunt who was her foster mother, who actually reveals it.
Yes.
In an offhand comment.
Yeah, right at the end of episode 7. She's like, oh, if only Gilbert was here to see you now.
Episodes 8 and 9 are the flashback episodes.
Yeah.
And then we get episode 10, which is also the basis behind Violet Evergarden, the movie. Plot device of Anne, the little girl who Violet helped her mother write.
Is that the one where the mom had cancer?
Yep.
Oh God, that one made me cry so bad.
That destroyed me.
I was like,
so
why is
bad.
this film making me relive the saddest episode?
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
It's like, we know you cried to this one, so here it is again.
Yeah. Yes. But then they also threw the dying kid in.
Yep.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That also, there's one thing that gets me.
We saw that boy die.
Yeah. They're just legit being cruel at this point. They know they had us, and it's just like...
They're like, let's see how far we can take it.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, wait, I'm looking at our list. The stuffed animal thing, I wanted to talk about that. So
the dog looks out the window.
Yes. So in the first episode, Claudia, while he's driving back with Violet, has all of these stuffed animals. And it's intense, actually, how crazy he is when he's like, pick a stuffed animal. He's like, pick one.
He's like, I don't know how to deal with children.
Yeah, you can see
like
his
that's a
struggle.
major thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he also struggled with the fact that I think he also felt like Violet was a tool, that she was a weapon. I don't feel like he was
like afraid. Do you feel like he was afraid of her a little bit?
Yes, I do feel like there was a sense of like a.
See, I would think that if from you saying that, but one of the things is that about his character is, and it keeps coming up, he thinks about what kind of parent he would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot.
And he definitely brings into that role with
because in the last episode they all write letters that go, what was it, up in the sky or something? They get launched. Yeah. He writes one to his future daughter. He doesn't have a wife.
Yeah, he's just dreaming about those days.
Yeah, and then in the film he says, I don't know if I could take having a daughter. And then when he gets to the island where Gilbert's been fucking living for a year. And
is it the teacher?
Yeah, he wasn't even a teacher.
Yeah.
He says to when the little boy shows him the bug and it scares the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Because he's a city guy. At least that's what they're trying to, indicate by showing him a bug. He's like, I don't know if I could raise a boy either. He's not, what's the term? Not timid. Not even anxious. What is the term? I'm trying not to use the one word that I know is bad. It'll come to me.
He seems contemplative to me. Like, I feel like he overanalyzes like a lot.
He's definitely over-analytic.
Like, thinks about every single thing. And you could see it in the moment where he's like telling her to pick a stuffed animal. And then like my heart absolutely broke when she picked the dog. And he's like, why'd you pick the dog? And she said it was because Gilbert's brother told her that she reminded him of Gilbert's dog.
Yeah.
Which I was just like, oh my God.
Gut-wrenching.
Really?
I was just like, oh. Right at the beginning, because that was episode 1.
Yeah,
you're just like, you're
really
getting to know these characters, and you're like, ooh, this is really showing me who like Violet is
how
at
she
the
views
moment.
herself.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Her backstory is just sad.
It really is.
Yeah, especially since we don't really know too much about beforehand.
Yeah, even I will say that
aren't in the show.
That's probably like my, and not that I wasn't disappointed in the show whatsoever. Like I felt very happy with the end of the series and where it went. But one thing I wish I would know a little bit more about is like where she came from.
Yeah.
Like like any bit of that. I mean,
it would be nice to know. Like it wasn't necessary, but I would like to know.
Yeah. I don't know if they're like done with these characters.
It's kind of hard because one, it's not really relevant to her trajectory in the series.
Yeah.
Because her as a blank slate is the important aspect of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do feel like American films, like we always try and tell as many tidbits of the story as we possibly can, and sometimes give away too much information. Like we hit people over the head with information, and like
that's why we can't have a Batman or Superman film without showing the death of their parents.
Yeah, it's like people can't just accept that it happened. They've got, it's got to be like shown to you over and over again. And I think I actually respect a little bit that they just were like, no, this is the part of her story that we're choosing to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in Dragon Ball, we don't see Goku's grandfather die, but we know he dies.
Yeah.
And we eventually get it explained to us that he died because Goku killed him on accident when he was a giant monkey. But
the more you know.
Goku, giant monkey boy. But But yeah, no, the storytelling aspect of you don't need to show or tell everything to understand the trajectory of a character and the plot. Like we don't. It's not even a plot hole.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't feel I will agree with you. It doesn't feel like a hole at all.
Yeah.
You just feel like you're seeing it from her perspective, and in her perspective, she does not know what her past was.
Yeah.
No, and it even kind of shows what her importance is in that part of the story. She's a tool at that point. Like the only thing she exists for is to do
like
what,
I think that's why they kind
Gilbert.
I think that's why they omitted the hinting of Benedict.
Benedict. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not ever confirmed. It's not important. I mean, it would. It's kind of only hinted at in the fact that he's kind of, when he warms up to her pretty quickly compared to every other girl there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't view her as an object. He does, however, use her stardom to try to lay his Benedict.
Are you saying that Benedict gets around a little bit?
In those heels, yes.
For sure.
Fun fact.
We like a spicy Benedict.
Fun fact. High heels were actually invented for men.
This is true. Yeah. Lots of royalty.
Yep.
Male royalty wore high heels.
And so we don't need that aspect of her. I mean, the majority of her emotional growth does not come from her dealing with her emotions herself, because she doesn't understand them. She is learning how to frame them through her job.
Yeah.
So she's a blank slate and a plot device for a lot of these other characters whose stories we are being told very directly.
Yeah. And getting a lot of information about them.
And the great thing is like how beautiful a lot of these stories are, and then you're getting that they're the main character. She's like the supporting cast in these really side character centric stories.
Yeah, she's the main character of an anthology.
Yeah, instead of it being like Monster of the Week, it's like Tearjerker of the Week. Like, who is
basically
going to make you cry this week, and how does Violet help them?
Yeah. And it's also great because you get all these stories about how she's learning from other people at first, and then it does evolve into her helping someone out. Like, I think right at episode 5, when she starts helping the princess.
Yes, she essentially is applying what she's started to take from her job.
She's thinking outside the box. She's going out of the rule. She's going against what the rules normally are for dolls to write the letters.
She goes out of the box. She has these characters do this emotional labor for them. She helps them do their emotional labor, but they do the emotional labor for her.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everything starts kind of taking off, and she kind of starts thinking outside that box in that episode. And go ahead and go back to that, because I cut you off, I feel.
It was just like she's starting to help people after she's already learned through other experiences, and she's applying that at that point on her own. Like, she's not being ordered, she's not being told, she's going against
and that
what
in
is
itself,
being told to her.
That in itself is a big step for her, because honestly, especially when you see her at the beginning of the series, all she wants is to get back to Gilbert and get her like next set of orders. Because she essentially does not know how to function as a person with their own free will, because so much of her time has been dictated by the military, the rules that she needs to follow.
And I think it's not helped with her by her design, because she still looks like while she's in the war, she's referred to as the battle doll of Leiden, or whatever the country's name is.
Yeah.
Like Leidenstock or Steen or whatever. And when she gets out, she gets her mechanical arms, her prosthetics, and then she's given probably the most American Girl doll dress of all time. So much so that when she goes in episode 10, when she goes to write the mother with cancer's letters to her daughter for her birthdays, the little girl Anne full on believes that Violet is a doll, like a real working animatronic.
Yeah.
Up until the end of the episode when she gives Violet a kiss on the cheek.
Honestly, for a while, I was like confused as to whether or not she was a robot or not. I was like, I mean, I know she didn't have animatronic arms in the beginning, but I was like, why is she a super killer? Like,
not only
is there
that, she loses
something-
her 2 arms
and then just keeps going.
She's like, she won't stop.
It's like something about that is a robot.
It's superhuman. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's a real girl. Or
Yeah.
Real normal girl.
yeah.
Yeah. It's something that is very much something that people write about in terms of like autism representation, of how she's depicted, because it's not an easy thing for a lot of autistics to show their emotional range.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got that vibe too.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, yeah, same.
Yeah. Granted, I don't know how much that would be truly framed by the intent of the authors, but I mean, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
For most representation. Yeah.
It's a very valid interpretation, I would say.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And whether it was intended or not, like if people are able to see that and like
and relate to it.
Yeah, that I think it's important.
Yeah. I mean, she gets very frustrated when she's trying to reconcile her thoughts and the feelings that she still doesn't understand. It's super interesting to see how everyone else deals with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all pretty understanding. And then there's also his Captain Bougainvillea, who is Gilbert's brother. Just be a straight up dickhead for the most of it. Until he kind of starts realizing because at the end of the series, there's the peace talks that he's a part of. Catalea and it was Benedict. They're all on the train going to a peace conference to write the thing, and then she's coming back from a different event where she goes across to the other country who's having a small civil insurgency, and then she goes to meet one young soldier to write a letter to his parents and love interest, where she comes in right as he's about to be killed, and he dies after she memorizes what he wants to say. And she, at that time, she fully understands emotions at that point. She knows she knows that she is a person with free will. And the man who's leading the insurgents is going to blow up the train with the dignitary on it to help with the signing for the peace summit. And she ruins both of her arms. One of them she uses to deflect.
I forgot about this.
She deflects a grenade, grenade launcher shot that was meant for Diedrich, the brother. And that's kind of when he goes, "Oh, she would have done nothing to." She's not selfish at all, because he had a view of her being selfish, and that's why that she let Gilbert die. And
it doesn't help that Dietfried also has this whole situation where she's murdered all his men on a boat. So
yeah,
he does
he's
have
got
this
some-
animosity towards
that's
her
his name.
that
That's
is
just his
rightly
name.
deserved in terms of
There's so many of
his
these names
perspective.
that are just so close to something else.
I mean, was she or was she not like gonna get
Dietfried,
assaulted by his men? So I mean,
Yeah.
I did not catch that, but that
I
would
think
also
that's
be very
implied
valid.
in the light novel, maybe
Oh,
not so
okay.
much on the television show.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can pick that up from the show, but yeah, I can imagine that was more in the light novel. There's definitely those things that like you don't need that.
Yeah.
Those are powerful things to add, but they're not a necessity. It's kind of like it's like a gratuitous action
Yeah.
to add that kind of stuff in. It's kind of like how we don't with the brother sister dynamic for the two of Violet and Benedict. Like you don't need that. So when they got adapted, they took it out.
Yeah.
They took out all that.
Yeah, it
coding.
wasn't important to the physical
was-
story that they were
yeah.
trying to tell.
And I think they did a great job of doing that and cleaning it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It made a more cohesive story than it would have been otherwise. You don't need too much muddying the waters, so to speak.
Especially with the way that the episodes are structured, being so episodic in terms of what is
Yes.
happening in each thing. Like
And then
you start adding more
flashback
things to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the flashbacks are always slightly relevant to like what's going on in the episode too. So
Yeah, and her emotional state. Like it has a
Yeah.
purpose to that point in the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's not until like episode 8 that everything kind of starts beginning to flow together.
Yeah. Which is the one where she goes to that like tower and is there for a period of time, and it reminds me, I in my memory. So for everybody, I watched this a little while ago. So some of this is a little distant, but I loved it and I wanted to hop on and talk about it. But I feel like they were like magicians or something in a tower. And she like went to go write letters
the
for them.
observatory.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Okay,
I
yeah.
loved that episode. I thought that
Yeah.
episode was so good.
That's so
Yeah.
funny because it's like probably on the lower side of my like what I enjoyed out of those episodes,
Yeah.
but I do like the content, like the content of what it was providing story wise for Violet, because that was another like episode where she was helping someone,
Yes, yeah.
like not even like being told to help them. Like that was Leon was the boy who in the
Yeah.
observatory who was decoding all these things that she was typing out, and his experiences mirror Violet's in terms of a social aspect. He's
Mhm.
not very friendly to people. He's very detached from people. He's an orphan, and seeing her and interacting with her healed him in some sort of way where
Yeah.
he
I thought-
was coming out of that shell a little bit more, and
Yeah.
and
He
having
goes
a
off.
friend.
He goes off and says he wants to travel like she does,
Yes.
which is
she made an impact.
wild.
yeah.
Wild that he never comes back.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I
one
agree.
girl from the other town that she meets at the school in the second episode always comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luculia always
Luculia
she's there.
always comes back. Like it made more sense when all of the people from her past started showing up and her brother shows up and not her. But like she showed up way too many times. Like
And she was only ever there. She's like, "Hey, hi, how are you? I'm leaving. Bye." And I'm like, "Okay."
and then it's literally just to show certain passages of time in
Yeah, and
the
I do
film
agree with
when-
that. I think
when
that was
she
just the only
when
point.
she was taking Taylor on her to deliver mail and to teach her how to read the dresses. Luculia just shows up and she's like, "Oh, I'm not a doll." She's not a doll anymore. She doesn't work. She's married because that was the time of, women were, I guess, starting to work, actual
Yeah.
like
Or like
office
leave their
jobs.
jobs when they
And then they
have a
leave their
significant
jobs.
other.
Yeah.
I see someone here has a note for LGBT content. Did
Oh.
anybody have any feelings?
So I more about the first movie, the Eternity in the Autumn
Oh
Memory
yeah,
Dog.
I know exactly the scene you're
Yeah.
talking about.
So,
when Violet is at the dance, and then later
Yes.
on,
So
when
she's
the
wearing
other girl shows
that
up to her
pants.
as, I want you to know in my
Oh, I
notes,
remember
it just
that,
when
yeah.
the second girl shows up after Violet leaves, my
Yes.
notes are just gay.
Yeah, they were totally like full on like lesbian moment. Like I loved it, and I was like, I'm so here for it. And
It's
then
a
they take it
girls'
away
school.
so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh no, now she's unhappy with a man.
She does feel trapped.
Yeah, like her story did not get better after that. Her story got worse. Like, what was her name? Amy?
Violet's? Oh,
No,
yeah,
Amy's.
Amy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Amy,
yeah.
Isabella. Or Isabella, whatever her name was.
she has this great moment where she becomes friends with Violet. And you feel like she is kind of exploring
her sexuality
with Violet, even though
Yeah.
Violet is
one of my
completely
notes literally for this that
does
whole
not know to it.
for one
Like,
of
she's
my
like, "Get in
notes
the bath
about
with me."
the way that Violet interacted with her was very is her the scene after the hairstyle and the debutante stuff is nice and simple, very 80s shoujo action lesbian vibes.
Yes, completely agree. It's like, so she gets asked to go in a bath together. They sleep in the same bed.
I like suppressed all this stuff. I forgot that happened. Yeah.
And then Amy was like trying to convince her to like skip class and like they'll go out and like explore the woods or the grounds or whatever. And Violet's like, no, you got a class to go to. And I was just like, cool.
That scene was beautiful with the light through the trees. I actually, within like the last year, I learned that there's a word for that. For like when the light that comes through trees. It's called komorebi in Japanese.
Ooh.
Yep.
Look at you.
Yeah, and that's one of the most beautiful scenes in that film.
I 100% agree. That was phenomenal. Just it was beautiful.
But I want to know about that film. Why did they draw every single separation of Taylor's teeth? Is it because she's a child?
Probably. I think it was a characterization kind of thing.
Because normally when you see his teeth, they're like blocked out.
Yeah. No, I think that was just to show her.
They went for the details.
Yeah, her like immaturity, like I feel like that just gives off a certain characterization of who she is.
Adorable.
Yeah, for sure.
Teacher, brother, sister.
And I will say, like, that whole movie, like, it's like it's two separate episodes, but it's also combined because they're also related.
I was so confused. I will say, like, I was very confused about the structuring of that, like, film.
Oh yeah, because it starts out in
the present day in terms of that episode.
That's a 4-year time skip because you see Taylor on the boat and you see her kind of disguised as a boy.
Yeah.
And then you go right into the past and you're like, whoa.
And then it kind of like before they like hint at what actually happened, it full on seems like Taylor died. Like the way that Amy was talking about her, like
didn't she just get married?
No, so
what happened to her?
Okay, so
she went back home, right?
So her father had her with an affair, and that's how Amy was born.
Oh yeah.
And then she finds Taylor as an orphan on the ground outside of her job. She takes her in as her sister. Then her father comes in because he needs to marry someone off.
Yeah.
To solidify connections, and he's like a high-ranking noble. And he convinces her to allow him to put Taylor into an orphanage where she stays at for 4 years.
Yeah.
Until she runs away and is then comes to the CH Postal Service. And then becomes... it's not even talked about, but she becomes Violet's foster sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really did just say, oh, and then she was given to the
Taylor
Evergarden family. It's like, what?
Taylor Evergarden, everything but name.
Yeah.
And then they don't even have the goddamn decency to make that little girl into the old lady who runs the museum in the present day time skip in Violet Evergarden, the movie.
Real
Do we
missed
know who that old-
opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a secretary.
Was she the one with the red hair?
I don't remember which, because she has gray hair in that. So
Yeah.
I think it's implied to be either one of the ones that Benedict hit on.
Okay. I know there was two, but I felt like for some reason it was the redhead. I don't know why.
It could be.
I mean, that works.
Violet.
Like I said, headcanon.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I'm Googling stuff.
Uh-oh. First time
Violet
today. That's actually a
Violet.
record. This is pretty good.
Oh, I always start Googling stuff and talking
normally
about
tell
Google
people.
images. Oh, no, I always tell people.
Oh, we're real professionals here at Gate Crashers.
So glad so glad me, Dan, and Mike started this company.
Mm-hmm.
Because now people can know what I'm Googling. Old lady in movie.
You just typed in old lady in movie? You're going to get Titanic.
Why the fuck would anyone think it was Iris? Why?
Yeah.
Why
Iris.
Reddit? Why did someone think it was Iris?
Oh, we're combing Reddit now for our answers.
So you mentioned Titanic for
Yes.
a second. I do want to branch off that because I did make
Tell
a mental note to myself
Oh,
that
ooh,
the
tell us.
movie
You
had
are
a
correct.
very
It was the
Titanic
redhead.
feel. It was. Yes.
Wait, what?
But
Tell me. Wait, say it again. I missed it.
The redhead was the old lady.
In the ocean?
Yes. Yes, the old lady in the ocean in Titanic.
Yeah.
She's actually from Violet Evergarden.
Yeah. No.
I
No,
thought that's what you meant. You made a connection between the two. I'm just
No,
like,
I do have a different connection. Just like
Okay.
the movie itself felt very similar to how Titanic was telling its story with going like to the present day and then the past. And then
I get that.
like when I watch it, that's kind of how I felt. It's funny that you said Titanic because I was like, oh my God, I told
Yeah.
myself to mention that and I never did. But yeah, so it kind of gave me that feeling because you're hearing someone related to the story telling their
Oh, yeah, there's grief and first love. And
yeah.
it's like if Rose was a war machine.
But
100%,
Violet is a
yes.
war machine.
Right? Kind of?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. You're not wrong.
No, I'm never wrong.
No, never wrong.
I don't know. I just really like appreciated the levels of grief that you see in
Yeah.
the show, not just from Violet, but from other characters
Yeah.
that are experiencing things. And just how someone who has no understanding very early on, like how to feel emotions or how to process them in a healthy way, like seeing that drawn out in such beautiful animation, I don't know, really got at my tear ducts.
It really did. And another thing of like Hodgins telling her, like, I think in the first episode that she's burning and she's like, I'm not burning. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
And then after she goes through the episode where she helps the playwright and his daughter and she starts
I like that one.
understanding what grief is.
Yeah.
And then that grief she starts understanding, and then she starts understanding the guilt of causing people grief. And then
Yup.
you
Imagine
see that
starting
moment
to
where
feel like you're burning after you fall into a little pond.
yeah. And she's like telling herself, I'm burning. And then you're getting the flashback where she's like, I'm not burning. And she's like
Yep.
convincing herself that she is burning, that she's understanding what her actions of the past are finally doing to herself. And that she's understanding that finally. And that missing piece of her emotions are now like
Clicking together.
yes, and like showing a full picture of
Yeah.
everything that's been happening thus far.
Yeah, I just really appreciate the storytelling that went into the emotional aspects of it.
Mhm.
They really, really dialed in to how to tell that story the most effective way through her feelings.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially like using other people as the
I know,
vehicle of
yeah,
those. Yeah.
yeah. It's very different. Like, I just remembered watching it and just, even though it does have a through line, the through line is her emotional journey she's going through and either trying to find the major or understanding how she feels about her own life and herself. It was cool because you're getting all these little mini stories and you're getting the passage of time. I don't know. I really like that they just didn't hit you over the head with like details. There was breathing room for you to take from episodes, like what you felt was like most important.
Yeah, because every episode had its own point. Every episode had a learning situation for her, and then it was very easy to interpret that. Yeah, exactly. Yep, a moral of the story.
Anything else that really screaming at you? Do we have anything we want to say about good old Gilbert? Do we think he's a coward for going on that island?
Yes.
I mean...
He did it so he didn't have to face any consequences to anything he did.
Yeah.
I will say, I was like, the one thing I was like very sad about while watching the show was that there wasn't more Gilbert. I kept waiting for Gilbert, at least in the first 13 episodes. I keep waiting for him to pop up at some point. I'm like, he's got to come back, right? He's got to come back.
And I do feel like they were hinting that the entire time. Like, even though the character's like, well, he's like probably dead.
He's gone.
He's gone. But that being such a driver for her, and I don't feel like him dying would have been what she needed in her story and to tell the story that it needed to tell.
Yeah, I don't think it gave her any closure if he just never showed up again either.
Exactly.
But she was so ready to accept the closure of just knowing he was alive.
Yes and no. Like, I feel like, yes, she was
hurt by it, of course.
Yes.
But she was ready to accept it.
Because I'm happy that she didn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
as much as everything that happened,
then she became a stamp. And, I thought it was nice that Anne's granddaughter was also named after a flower for that very specific reason of keeping it in that line.
Yeah, and that he named her. And he named her Violet. I know. Part of me feels like his character left because he felt like the feelings like she might be having for him were possibly wrong at that time. And he really wanted her to grow up and be normal. Yeah, he didn't
want to be a groomer, but he was.
Yeah, from circumstance, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't think he set out, like, there was no ill intent, I feel like, from his character to forcibly groom her. The situation that they were forced into left him to want to do the best thing by her, which was let her.
I think the problem with them ending up in a relationship together at the end of the franchise is towards the end of the show, and I guess it would be that area of the books. It seemed more like people were viewing it as, and it was being more depicted as not like a romantic one, but like a familial love.
Yes, I would kind of agree with that.
Like it was starting to be depicted like that.
Yeah. Like I definitely don't think if you just watch the 13 episodes by themselves, you didn't go and watch the second movie that tied everything together. You do feel like it could go either way. You're like, okay, he loves
like
her.
It definitely starts as like a clear romantic thing, and then it becomes more like the familial thing.
Yeah, you're like, okay, he just cared about her because he was worried about her well-being and stuff.
I also think it looks familial because you're getting it from her perspective most of the time. You're not really seeing his perspective. You're seeing the fact that she was like a young child obsessively like interested in him because he was the only thing that was like really available to her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a little red flaggy. I'm going to be honest.
100%.
It's just a little red flaggy.
But it's a good thing that we're calling this out.
Yeah.
And I will say... Yeah, we're going to say...
No, keep going.
Okay. It just... At the end, it's like, yes, they get together. and yes, maybe like all those like little red flags and stuff like that, but I do enjoy what the ending wrapped itself up to be. You know, she could have very well stayed on the boat. Like he could have very well not come out of his house. It's just
It could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he could have at that point in time accepted he wants nothing to do with me. I need to move on with my life. And he could have been like, I do nothing good for her. Let me just stay where I am. Like the fact that they both decided to take the jump almost literally for Violet. She jumps into the ocean. That I do find it is a great wrap up piece to their story, that, you know, that whole arc between the two of them. You're like, okay, I'm relieved that they are now together. I am glad that that's the end result of the story.
And
I think they
felt
wrapped
like
her
she
story
wanted
up
that
very nicely. I really do wish that the creators would go back and do like a side story for each of the characters and resolve all of their stories.
I would love to get Gilbert's point of view while he was gone.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to see like Hajin's.
Yeah.
Catalea.
Okay, I ship Catalea and Hodgins. Like I wish that they were a thing.
Yes, everyone does. Everyone does.
Like when he was referencing his unborn child, I was thinking it was like gonna pan to her, like her hand on her stomach, and be like, "Oh my god, she's
just
pregnant."
her ragging on him.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I like this too, but still.
But then he kind of just got with the school teacher, right? At the end.
Is that what happened?
Did I interpret that wrong? Maybe I interpret it wrong.
I don't quite remember that one.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't actually.
No. I might be misremembering. I literally watched it when it came out. So should I have watched it again?
No, Violet ends up with the school teacher.
Yeah. Yes. You're right. Yes.
I like to see his credentials for that.
Yeah.
He taught her to read.
He did.
He said, "Hey,
nice
read this
things.
book."
Yeah. I loved the show, and I'm so glad we got to discuss it.
I know, it's such a masterpiece.
It was.
It's like my comfort anime, but like only when I want to cry.
Yeah.
It's a safer one than mine.
You're mine in April.
Yeah, that's my one of my two comfort animes.
What's your other one?
Barakamon.
I don't know that one.
It is more of a comedy.
Okay.
Wait, what is it?
Barakamon.
Okay, I they said Barack Obama.
Yes, Barack Obama,
like,
my favorite anime. No one's more Irish than Barack Obama.
Well, I think that wraps it up about Violet Evergarden. If you haven't watched it yet and you listen to all these spoilers, what are you waiting for? Go back and watch it now. Thank you for joining us at Gatecrashers today. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, all socials available in the world, right? We're on everything.
Somewhere.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us.
We're probably in places that I don't even know. I know we got TikTok, we got the Twitter, we got Instagram, we got Facebook.
We have a Tumblr too.
We have a Tumblr.
We do.
You have a Tumblr?
Yeah, Gatecrashers is a Tumblr girl, did you know?
Yeah, because we all thought
but...
that Twitter was going to die very shortly.
Yeah, we did. So
there was that period of time. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I was like, we're on Tumblr now. All right, well, thank you for joining us for Violet Evergarden Deep Dive. Come back again next week. We'll be here.
Bye.
Have a good night, day, whenever you're listening. Bye.
It's the Gatecrashers.